Hey there, this is Stock Abilities or Freelancepreneur or wherever you want to find me here. I'm going to be going over different strategies here in the Patreon supported chat, so only you guys will be able to see this. It's going to be very quick here. There's a short sale restriction. I'm going to walk through the quick steps on how I go about picking the price entry exits, things like that, what I mean by the stop loss sell-offs here, and we're going to get right into it now. You got a trigger point. Trigger point is the first time it goes down when it hits negative 10%. So if it triggers at negative 10%, there's usually an uptick at some point, essentially kind of a covering point for shorts for future reference. And the reason the uptick is important is because it's defined by the national best bid. So you're going to always see a little bit of a pop up before a pop down. And the goal here is to trade within that window. Now, if you hit the stop losses sell-offs point and it doesn't look like it's tumbling down further, that's a good time to get in. If there's any particular percentage that's too bad to get in now, if the stock's already down 25, 30%, 40%, chances are it's down on bad news and it's probably being shorted, sold off, and lots of stop losses are hitting because no one wants to hold a company that's having bad news, especially if it's something like a bankruptcy or an upcoming reverse split or an offering or things like that. Go into the next step here. Pretty simple scan here. You got oversold, you got down 10%, and you got the price of under $5. Now, the stocks today didn't look too great, and you can kind of see why I didn't really pick any for the list as of this particular day that I'm doing this video. You can see that you got a 33%, 37%, 46, 14, 21, and just yesterday, you got a whole bunch of shipping and all these. And I personally don't like shipping. It's a little bit in the shady end of things, especially as you can see with dry ships. You guys are probably familiar. Uh, you don't want to look for too heavy down. You don't want to look for too already jump back up. And I'll get back into that here in just a second here. But the short answer is you want to find the ideal down percentage, but not heavily down. The scan isn't complicated. It's about how you use it and how effectively you use it that gets you the real results. We're going to jump right here into it. Now, short sale, as I kind of explained, it's a uptick, downtick roll, and nothing too exciting here. As you could say, last trade higher than the one before. Pretty simple definition. We're not going to go too far into that. And then you go to the short sale circuit breaker on the after hours. If you're doing this on a swing overnight, I do some of them in a day trade if I'm quick enough to get some profit out of it, like I did with a lot of the shipping stocks recently. You don't always get that option, but when you do, you should take it. You take any green that you can get. Green is green, compounding reinvestment adds up. And this is just a list of different short sale restricted stocks. As you can see here, usually in the after hours, it tells you exactly when a stock actually hit the trigger point by the exact minute. And you can use a chart. Let me go back here. You can use a chart and you can figure out when the trigger point is, when the uptick point is, and you got it by the exact minute. You got the uptick by the exact first, well, it's basically the first pop after the trigger point. In most cases, that's the case. If it's heavily sold or shorted, or not shorted, rather, heavily sold or these stop losses hit, you're looking for the current uptick at that given point. It takes a little bit of practice, but when you get the hang of it, it actually gets rather easy. I believe that covers everything I wanted to cover with this. Altogether, this only takes me 5 minutes or so, but I know what I'm looking for. Takes a little while to perfect it, but once you get it down, you're looking at a good 3% to 15% return on investment. Of course, as you get it down a little bit more, you might be able to push that to a 5%, 10%. Do keep in mind, though, that the volume on some of these stocks can be rather low. In this case, they were all relatively high, but none of these were really worth playing because of how far down they already were towards the end of the day. You play them towards the end of the day and then the next day, or you could play them as a quick scalp from about 2 to 4 p.m. Picking your entries and exits is kind of up to you. Just play it smart, play it careful. Do some trial practice runs, maybe on a paper trading account. just to make sure you have the hang of it, and then go from there and try them out. They work out pretty well for me. Have a nice day, and if you guys have any other questions, feel free to ask me.